Hickok 45 here, your internet shooting companion. Yeah, coming to you from the beautiful hills of Tennessee. Like that. Yes. Yes, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve Lee. Yes, Hickok 45 here, your internet shooting companion. And we're coming to you from the hills of Tennessee, the home of Alvin York, Chet Atkins, Morgan Friedman, Jeff Quinn, Davy Crockett, all sorts of interesting people. I think Davy Crockett, in fact, carried an AR-15. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. It was his was old school, like this one though. It was old school. Ooh, old school. Can I take a couple of shots with it before I talk to you too much, okay? I was holding too low on those red plates when I was missing them. I don't like to miss too much, unless I have good reason. So it's clear. This is, you might have seen it in the video, okay? If not, you will soon probably, right? Because this is the California Highway Patrol model Colt, the upper, okay? With the Dissipators, the Dissipator. Many of you know what the Dissipator is now. Look it up. Look up our videos on it. I've got we did 2 or 3 videos with the Wyndham Weaponry Dissipator. This is an actual Colt, and they didn't make many of them. This was a special order for the California Highway Patrol. And so it's pretty cool. John found it somewhere online, I don't know, a year ago, whenever it was. And I bought it from him not all that long ago, and I just like it. I always wanted to talk about the Dissipator. And my history of wanting them, years ago, wanting one, all that, and but anyway, it's pretty cool. I like this arrangement for an old school firearm. Old school AR, this might be my favorite configuration. I mean, it's not totally old school, but fairly old school. Look at that carry handle. It's part of the upper, right, receiver. So pretty cool. Take a few shots with that. I was just in the mood to get it out. I have to admit, that's what happens on the Sunday shoot-arounds. And I've got a big week. Now right now I've got plenty of time, which you might not want to hear, because I might be here forever. There's a bug on that screen. Now he's gone. Little bitty bug, you might not have seen it. Yeah, so but we're still the week of August the 1st. And time flies. It is the summer will be gone. Once it gets into, I don't know if you've noticed, depending on where you live, but over the many, many, many years, I can, I don't know, if you put me to sleep and in a coma and just woke me up in the summertime at some point, well, heck, really, any time through the year, I should be able to tell by now. I've gone through so many seasons, all the seasons, but in the summer, yeah, you start noticing it in July when things stop growing as fast, and you get more hot weather, of course, and a little more dry weather usually, not always. And some of the leaves even will dry up, and some will fall off, in July, and then especially late July and in August. And it begins. It's not a feeling of fall because there's definitely no frostbite in the air, so not fall in that sense, or autumn, but in the sense that things slow down, and tell by the sound of the bugs and Some trees begin to lose a few leaves, like I said. It's mostly from just dryness, though, and then just the time of year. So I like late summer and fall. It always was a time, though, that brought on some bad feelings because, you know, if you're still in school, it reminds you it's time almost to go back to school, right? And of course, when I was teaching, it was a similar situation. And, you know, especially now, people start in middle of August or even before that, you know, going back to school. So whatever grade level or college or college usually starts a little bit later, I guess, but things have changed a lot in recent years. But you start getting that feeling, that twinge. It has a feel of school coming on. And if you played sports, you know, football season coming on, or if you don't even play it, you know, or for me, basketball for so many years, because once we got back on campus in college or in high school, we'd better be in shape. And it was it was running time, you know, basketball. As soon as we hit campus, you know, practice started, basically, unofficial practice, conditioning it was called, right? And so, you know, all that, it brings all that to mind. Gotten away from that to some extent in, you know, like the 8 years I've been out of teaching and doing this, which is one of the cool things about being, I'm not retired, of course. I didn't even retire from teaching. I just had to quit early and to do this, but to, you know, choose one or the other. I've talked about that, but it's a neat thing about, it's why you want to keep your health, man, and exercise and eat right. And I try to. I haven't always done great at that, but because when you get up to my age or younger than I am, older than I am, it can be pretty cool. You save some money, you invest, and you know, you're not broke when you're 60 or 70 or 80 or whatever it is. In a way, it can be like the best time of your life. Think about it. What if you keep your health till you're, I don't know, just say, we won't say 95. Most people don't that long. But let's say you knew, or there's a really good chance you could be really healthy when you're 80 or 85. And many of you, if you're young, you ought to, because that increases, you know, every year, each generation. But say when you're 85, you can count on, if you do things right, being healthy and doing pretty much what you have always done, just like I do. And at my age, and you are in a position financially where you can be financially independent when you're 60 or 65. It's a worthy goal. Think about it. What if now 60 is not a teenager? Many of you have lots of years to save, invest your money, save your money, plan ahead. I've talked to you about that compound interest calculator. They're all over the internet. All you do is go to one and look at how much you have to say, how much you put in. You can figure on if it's invested in some just basic good index mutual fund, whatever you invest in. I'm not a financial advisor, but or whatever you want, even putting it in precious metals, something that's not going to lose its value for inflation, preferably something that'll grow, though, and beat inflation, right? So if you do that fairly well, and you keep yourself healthy, maybe you could be financially independent, quit your job, unless you just really love it, when you're 60 or 55, I don't know. You don't want to quit too early, and you are going to be healthy till 85, let's say, and do whatever you want pretty much. Well, what if you're not working when you're 60? It'd be pretty cool. What's that? 25 years. 25 years of vacation. Think about that. If you could get yourself in position to do that, and a lot of people do, or have, and you know, you think about your job, what you do, how cool it is to have a week off. Oh my gosh, you just need it so badly. Or a couple of weeks, you know, think about those 2-week vacations you've had. Or maybe you're just unemployed for a month or something, whatever, other than the stress of being unemployed. But wow, just being able to go out in the middle of the day and do what you want, do your grocery shopping on a Wednesday morning or something where you'd normally be working, just whatever it is. Go fishing, hunting, shooting, whatever. So if you have invested properly and saved your money, and check that compound interest calculator, you don't have to be wealthy. You don't even have to have a big income. to put yourself in position, pretty good position. If you start, 20s, 30s. So again, 2 or 3 week vacation is really cool, isn't it? How about a 25-year vacation? 60, 70, 85, right, I'm not exaggerating. Even a 10-year vacation, And I didn't even plan to talk about how did I get off on all these weird topics. But, when I was my last year of teaching, I remember telling people, I just love the fall. It's my favorite time of the year, October, November. Beautiful, bug-free kind of, and just the woods and being out and whatever you're doing. It's just better in the fall, isn't it? Air is less, no humidity, and the temperatures are kind of nice. It's just a great time, be out in the woods or do anything. And I found myself, of course, in a classroom with a bunch of ugly, mean middle schoolers for all those years in the fall. Just kidding. But I was teaching, and I just out the window, man, it'd be great to have a day off, And then, of course, I could take a day off, but I was always looking at the weather for the weekend in the fall, what it was going to be. It seemed like, you remember the bad times, right? It would always seem like beautiful week, like a high of 70 or something, or 65, and beautiful outside, and then rain coming in on Saturday and Sunday. But I remember telling people, I would just like to live 1 year, maybe 2 at least, after I get out of here, and have the fall to myself, every single day to go do whatever I want to do. And I couldn't complain because I had summers off and all that. So, but that fall, I'd have rather had like September, October, and November off. That would have been my preference. So anyway, plan ahead. Plan ahead. That's my best advice for you. And get yourself in a position, because you may be unhealthy. Anything can happen, right? A lot of people don't live to 20, 10, 30, 40. But if you can hang in there and just keep yourself healthy, you have a lot of years maybe out there somewhere where you're kind of on an extended vacation, and still do whatever you want to do. Don't get this image out of your head of being on a walker when you're 65 or something. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. Okay, I don't know what else would I like to talk about. So anyway, this is the CHP, the California Highway Patrol version, and it is nice. And I won't talk too much about it, but you see the video you have, and on the Dissipator. The goal was this is the same length as your M4 carbine. You know that, most of you, right? It looks longer, but it's not. It's just that the handguard is longer. And it's old school, of course. But it was the advantages, as you can see, you still have a short barrel, but you have a lot to get hold of. Now, when you compare it with the typical style carbine, old carbine, now your newer ARs with your rails and everything, this is nothing special, is it? But if you go back into the 80s, 70s, or whatever, this is far different. Because I have, the upper that is, this is a Colt lower too, my 6920, and the handguard is about that big. Then you got this weird barrel, and you got a bayonet lug back here somewhere that's useless because it's part of the sight. So you just need to get the sights out further, a longer handguard, and what that required was a different gas. It gives you a longer gas system and all that, and you had to work that out. And your gas system is not necessarily tied to your sight post. As part of that, your gas block and all that. But these work great. So pretty cool gun. And information. And also, of course, I want to thank Talon Grips and Ballistol. Couldn't get along without them. I've got a gun here I'm going to put Talon Grips on. I'll show you in a minute. I've already smothered it in Ballistol when I brought it up. I have been a bad boy again. I went to the Civil War show in Chattanooga last weekend, and almost didn't go. It's about a 2.5 hour drive for me, but I am just drawn to those. There's a big one in Franklin every year. I rarely ever miss that one. I haven't missed it in years, except for COVID. I think it was postponed or canceled maybe once. But so I went down, and I couldn't think of anything else really constructive to do that day, so I just drove down there and browsed around, and didn't really expect I was going to buy anything. I was about to leave. There were one or two things I'd kind of looked at, and I was going to go back maybe and take a look. There was, of all things, at a Civil War show, I see some Colt single-action armies, a couple to get my attention, and I went back to look at one before I left. I've been through the whole thing. I met some of you there. It's good to meet you. And anyway, it was a 4 3/4 inch old Colt black powder frame made in, guess when? 1874. That's going back a ways. Guess what? That's the second year of production. Pretty smart, aren't they? Because it came out in 1873. And mostly the cavalry, model for the cavalry, U.S. Army. You've seen mine, the U.S. Army, although it was made a little bit later, 10 years later. But I think, as I understand, is one of the gray areas. They also made, I think, and some of you, if you know a lot more than I do, which is all of you probably, but I think I read, and I've heard a couple of times, that they made 500 for civilians, even the first year, to get it out in the civilian market. And then I'm not sure how many they made. I couldn't find my book on that Mike Venturino wrote on the Colt single action. His first, I guess that was his first book. I wore it out. It fell apart, and I was thinking they even sent me another one, or maybe that was another book on lever guns that fell apart worse, and they sent me another. But I couldn't find a thing anywhere. I ordered another one today. I'll have a few days, but it's a great book. And so I didn't have a good reference. I was all over the internet trying to remind myself what I know about it, because I've done research on these things a number of different times, but it doesn't stay in my brain too long. Nothing does. The second year and third year, 74 and 75, they made them for civilians. I don't know how many. I couldn't find the exact numbers. And I know they didn't make, at least as far as a catalog item, they didn't make 5.5 inch barrels or 4 3/4 inch barrel. The three main lengths, 7.5, 5.5, 4 3/4. There was the three main lengths. They had some others longer and shorter. But until later in the 1870s, 70, I don't know, almost 1880, I think. But there's 78, 79, I don't know, when they put those all three available. So because they were getting so many orders and requests, for those shorter barrels. The 4 3/4 was extremely popular, as I understand. And they would make, like Winchester, the gun companies back then, reflection over there, the gun companies back then were really good about the special orders. It wasn't like going through the custom shop necessarily and costing another $200. You wanted a Winchester with this length barrel or that configuration, or a Colt and a 3-inch barrel or a 2-inch barrel or a 14-inch barrel, they would pretty much do it. They were very accommodating, particularly I guess as a firearm was being introduced. Colt was like the ultimate marketer. He did everything he could to get his guns on the market and get them well known and make up stories about them, winning the West or whatever it was, and was a master at naming them and nicknames. But so I say all that because this one has a 4 3/4 inch barrel, which not many of those in 1874. Maybe none. Okay. I bought this, and I, with the full knowledge that it could have been a barrel replacement, but I got a good deal on it. It really might be worth twice what I paid for it if this is the original barrel that came on it. It's hard. It's lettered. Got the letter, but in the letter they generally don't have the barrel length they came with. So that doesn't help you a lot. So I got the Colt letter on it, and everything's intact. The serial numbers all match up. I'll show it to you. Quit yakking about it. But is that a thing of beauty? Now some of you think no. Give me give me a SIG. But that's a Colt single action, made in 1874, shipped in October 12th or 14th, I forget, to Kittredge in Cincinnati, who was a major dealer of these sorts of things, other firearms as well. And so this shipped out of Cincinnati, close to my hometown, in 1874, in a shipment of 11 guns. That's what it says on the letter. And it's neat. It's in really better shape than my 1884, which you might have seen recently. Okay, so black powder frame. Need I remind you of that? 1874. So that's pretty cool, all the way back to just almost the inception. 74, October 74, and if the barrel is a replacement, it's fine with me, because the price I got it for would be fine, because that reduces value a little bit, now if the frame was replaced and the cylinder and all the different pieces, then it'd be a major hit on the value of it. But for me, it's not so much the value of it. I'm not planning to sell it, maybe ever. It's just the fact that the age of it and the condition of it and everything was really appealing to me, and the price was right. You got your bullseye ejector rod. You got the first generation, the one line, for y'all that know Colts. I'll give you a little closer. I don't know if it's focused or not, but the condition of this for that age is just really good mechanically. Really, really sound. This gun has been taken care of. Need I say that when you think about the age of it? And I've got the magnifying glass out, and I've looked at the barrel. I got my 1884 out. I got my 1883 U.S. Cavalry model out, and I looked it over, compared them, and the barrel and how the sights attached, and up in the barrel you can see like how they drill a hole in the barrel, and they stick the sight down in there, and then they solder it, or whatever they did, all that, and it looks like a factory barrel. And that may have been cut off. My 1884 has the same look around the muzzle there. This one looks like, maybe someone took a file. That doesn't look exactly, it looks irregular. The others are kind of the same way, if they're worn that much. So that's hard to tell for me. I'll get it to a gunsmith or somebody, maybe if I get to Tulsa, I'll get some opinions on whether or not the barrel is original or not, or what. Well, I guess there's a couple of possibilities. Well, there are three. It came with that as a special order. Okay, just a special order. Kittredge was really involved in these things. There were about 4 or 5 suppliers like that, and they almost acted as a kind of a distributor for Colt. And like today, distributors will make up their own. They'll request certain finishes or grips, and that's how you get a lot of the custom guns. You've seen many of those from the distributor specials and everything, because they know they're going to sell so many of them. And it's kind of like they're a manufacturer themselves in a way, because it's a special offering from them and that kind of thing. So I don't know if Kittredge did that or not. I could see them putting in a request. They're selling a lot of Colts and everything else, and they're getting requests what they want too on that end. And it could be that there were so many requests for one of these in a 4 3/4 inch barrel, or a barrel that was kind of flush with the ejector rod, that they ordered some of them. They're the ones who did the special order, maybe Colt. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, which is dangerous, but I could see that happening. Look, we'd like 10 of these with a 4-inch barrel. That's what people want. They're hacking them off, and Colt said, we can do that. I don't know. So that's one possibility. It was a special order, of course. And another possibility, it was hacked off. It was sawed off and the sight was moved. The owner didn't think that had been done. He's been collecting them and messing with them for a long, long time, had way more than I do in them and everything. He didn't think it had been, but he wasn't 100% sure. And so that's a possibility. They just did a good job of taking off the 7.5-inch length barrel. I don't know. And what was the other possibility? That the barrel was just replaced from a different firearm. It had been the same vintage, base generally, And then I look at that. They either really did a great job of picking out a barrel. If they did, if this was a 7.5 inch gun, I'll hold this up for some of you. Think Colt experts can maybe weigh in on it if you know or think you know. They really found one with exactly the same wear. They must have had a choice of several, if that's what it was. The barrel was just unscrewed, and another one put in, shorter barrel. Don't know. But the wear, you can see the patina on the frame. Now your different pieces always, they have a little bit different wear anyway, like your hammer. They just are going to look a little different. A flat surface versus a rounded surface, and you know, so you do get that, of course. But like on your Colt or 1911s, you know, your hammer looks different from some of the other controls and the slide and all that. That you get some of that anyway. But you look at the wear and the patina and the finish. It's just, I don't know if we're in focus there. You know, turn that around a little bit. You know, the amount of patina, rust, or whatever you want to call it, I think that's a good, it's just, yeah, it just, you know, you'd swear, well, I wouldn't swear, but you don't swear that came with the gun. So I'm not sure which theory I support right now. I just don't, because if they cut the thing off, they had to move that sight, and they did an incredible job. I compared that with my others, and which haven't been messed with, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, it looks the same to me. So anyway, bottom line is that those are possibilities, but I don't really care. I really don't care. If it turns out that when I show this to a real Colt expert, or I send it to Kopek or somebody, is that right? Yeah, Kopek. The Kopek letters I've got on my other one. And he tells me, yeah, someone's put a different barrel in it. I was okay, just good to know. But you know, that's fine. I didn't get taken, you know, in terms of price or anything. It's like that 1892 model Winchester I have that's chambered in .357 Magnum. Duh. It was made in 1917, and who knew somebody could chamber a rifle in .357 Magnum about 20 years before the .357 Magnum came out or existed. Well, it was the original barrel. They just rebored it or rechambered it for a .357 Magnum, but it's all original. And I knew that when I bought it. Duh, of course. On that one, it was a different chambering. It didn't exist when the gun was made. So I knew that. That's why I paid about a third or a half of what, you know, it would have been, you know, if they hadn't done that. But for me, I love it. I love it. And I like this. You're not going to find, unless someone has done something to it, you're going to find very, very few, unless one of those three possibilities I mentioned, maybe there's a fourth, I don't know. Unless one of those applies to this gun, it is a fairly rare. You just don't see these in this short barrel very often. You know, it shows this old. Not that unusual in my, of course, 1884 model, or late 1870s, of course. But at 74, you're not going to find many of these. Okay, so it was either a special order or, you know, they replaced the barrel. So anyway, they did a great job. I love this gun. It's great. You know, it's got the one-piece wood grips. You know, the screw heads. You know, I really wouldn't be surprised if whatever possibility I came up with there that is true. It's really been taken good care of, even though it's worn, you know, no finish or anything like that. But the screws on it, you can sort of tell those three screws, you know, the hammer, trigger, whatever, they have not been, they don't look to me like they've been replaced. And they're not boogered up at all. You know, things like that. And the base pin, it's hard to know, you know, you can replace those, or it may not have been, I don't know. But the screws are not messed up on it. And it's like one of those guns that's maybe been carried a lot, but just not abused, like ever. So anyway, good find. Sorry for gushing on for 10 minutes on this gun. It's hard for me to hide my love for a Colt single action, isn't it? You're wondering why I'm not shooting it. Well, I'm not going to shoot it today. I haven't shot it yet, and maybe I'll bring it out and do it for you all on a Sunday it's I got too much going on this week to get into a black powder. We've been doing that some this week, and I just not sure I have time to get it really good and clean. And I want to do that when I have more time, and I'm going to shoot it over maybe a period of a couple of days. Even if I just shoot it 20 times, I just want to have plenty of time to do that, figure it out, see where the sights are, and plenty of time to clean it really well and make sure I've shot it all I want to shoot at that point before I clean it, because then I'll take it all apart totally, like I did my 1884 not long ago if we did a video. Yeah, shot it over here, right? Sunday video. I took it all apart after that, and I just totally cleaned it. I mean, it takes some time to do it right the way I like to do it. Every screw and everything. And that's what I would do with this, of course, because I am the curator. I am the curator, okay? And if a firearm like that, let me finish up here, my last comment. If a firearm like this doesn't like warm your blood a little bit, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? No, you may just still be young, and you've not been indoctrinated into the ways of the Old West, okay? Now that handgun, that is one I could make up even more stories about. You know, my 1883 or 1884, I can't claim Billy the Kid carried it because, you know, he was shot before that, or was he go 81 or something? And, you know, so there's some desperados that, I can't make up any stories about. However, that firearm could have been owned by, you name them. Wyatt Earp, Billy the Kid, could have been owned by anybody. You know, as I've said before, we don't know how many different firearms somebody owned. They carried at various times. I've given you all that lecture. We just, like maybe last week, we just know what they're famous for having carried. You know, maybe during some big shootout or whatever it might have been. We don't know what else was in their collection, what they might have carried for 5 years. But when they were in the most dramatic part of their career, or when something happened that stayed in the news, or when people noticed them or something more, they happen to have something different. I don't know. So you just don't know. It's just like a coin. You know. So this firearm, it could have been in anybody's collection, in anybody's holster, literally, at some point from 1874, October onward. And the guy was telling me about Kittredge, it's Ben Kittredge and Company, I think, in Cincinnati. Was a major outfitter because it's right there on the Ohio River for people going west, just like, you know, St. Louis was. So, there you go. Just, you want me to talk some more about it? What else was I going to talk about? Yeah, I'm not going to shoot that. I'll shoot the AR some more. Any other advice? Well, you know, that reminds me, too. I made a mental note. I was watching an episode of The Rifleman with Chuck Connors this week. You know, we have talked about these old TV series, and it struck me, especially in today's crazy world, in this scene. I don't know what all was going on or what he's even about, but it was at night. Mark was there at the table in their little house. And he was doing his homework or reading, I think it was homework, with a coal oil lantern, you know, a kerosene lantern on the table there, and reading, doing his homework, whatever. Lucas was sitting, I think, on the doorstep, the door open, and cleaning his rifle, running a patch, you know, through it and wiping it off and that kind of thing. They're having a conversation. And it just occurred to me how much, I mean, life is complicated for any human, right? Any time period, surviving and all that. But the difference between that evening and our evenings, you know, typical evening for you or me and a lot of other people. And a lot of people have crazy, hectic evenings or whatever they're doing. You know, we're trying to find 39 things on a computer, or we're going through all of our stuff online and all the, you know, work from our job and get ready for the next day, whatever we're doing. But I mean, think about the simplicity of that. I mean, it's like night and day. It's like going back into the cave, being a caveman, you know, in terms of the difference. Mark, not once in that scene did I see him pick up his phone and see how many likes he had on some post or something, you know. He didn't Google a thing. If there was a word he didn't know, he would have had to go to a dictionary that hopefully they have, look it up, and had to have fuel for the and I have a couple of kerosene lamps just exactly like that my mother used doing her homework. It's the very same lamp. Nothing special about it. I see it in a lot of movie scenes in different places and even antique shops. It's that just smooth bowl, just that classic kerosene lamp you see made of glass, you know. And it was on the dining room table as I grew up. I didn't know a time when we didn't have it because it was there when I was born. It was on the dining room table, and it was on the mantle, and everywhere we lived we had it. And it was in Mom's in the bedroom before she died. And I had told her, I don't know, 4 or 5 years before that I, you know, I wanted that lamp if possible, you know, at some point. Just I wasn't interested in, you know, other stuff, more expensive, necessary. But there were things like that, you know, a couple of Dad's tools and that lamp, you know, I really cherished and wanted. And she said, well, go ahead and take it. And I said, well, I don't want to take your lamp. But I did. I bought her another one, a different lamp, and traded out. You know, I don't know, well, maybe in 10 years before she died, got the brain tumor. But anyway, I've had that for a long time now, probably 25, 30 years myself. I light it every now and then, like on my mom's birthday or something, or just a special day, or, you know, if my grandson's over or something, I'll light it. It's kind of a novelty, you know, for him. But that exact same lamp. So, but anyway, she grew up. They had 500 acres, like it was up in Grant County, Kentucky, and milked like 50 cows every morning and night. It is huge dairy operation for the times and up there and everything. But my granddad was really cheap, and he refused to put electricity. He was an old school man, Scotch Irish, and I don't know, they came over here, I don't know what year it was. They settled in the Baltimore area and then moved on into Kentucky. I don't know. But he just refused to put in electricity when it came through, you know, when it was available. He was just, he didn't want any part of that, you know, at least at that time. And so they had, at night, they used lanterns and stuff, lamps, you know. So this was like Little House on the Prairie time, even in, I don't know, that would have been what, 1920s, you know. So anyway, I was just reminded of how simple, in so many ways, their life is compared with us, at least in the minutia that we're all caught up in. You know, think how many websites you keep up with. Even me, and I try not to devote too much overtime. I try to skim through, but you know, there's just no end to it. What if you do 4 or 5, some of you do 4 or 5 posts maybe on Instagram every day and on Facebook and YouTube stuff and who knows where else. And you're constantly checking back and for comments and then communicating with people, answering messages, whatever, on all those platforms. It's like you're a slave to it in so many ways, right? Yeah, I'm not enough of a slave probably, and I don't mean to slight anybody, but for example, I'm not sure. I'd have to be reminded how to even check messages on Instagram. I post there occasionally, but I never have checked messages. I guess I don't know where to do it. I go to Facebook and I'll skim through, you know, and get so many. But yeah, so anyway, such a different life. And so there was, you know, Lucas cleaning his AR-15 on the front step. Actually, it was his Model 92, right? So, all right, I'm over talking. Okay, let's shoot this thing. Let's blow something up. Like, am I still recording? Yeah, unfortunately for you. Let's shoot that gallon jug. That red 2 liter. Green 2 liter. This is not gonna go through it. It shouldn't. But I'm gonna line up with that orange one down there too. I'm gonna hit this green one. Yeah, if it had gone through and hit that orange one, that would not have maybe been very impressive because it's, I don't know, 6-8 yards further on down the hill. And one of the things that for those new shooters, a .556 round is famous for is, of course, it's that velocity and that hydrostatic shock and all that kind of thing. Not for being able to penetrate something like that and then go on through another one and that sort of thing. Now, if I shot with a 45-70, it might have done that. All right, let's take out the orange one though. If it takes 2 bullets, it takes 2 bullets. I'm gonna pop his bowling pin again. I got him wired up a little better. Of course, I'm not shooting a shotgun slug. Let's put one on the gong. I know you're waiting. Boom. Here's that red plate again. Yeah, that'll hold up a little bit. You're not going to pop it. I got to remember that if I take this thing to war. Okay. Must be empty, right? Yeah, I'm bad about, I know, bringing out revolvers and lever guns, but I do like these things, and I need to bring an AR out occasionally because I have several and I shoot them, and they're fun too. They really are. So, good old, that is the lower, again, for the 6920. I just put this upper on it. I like this upper better than the upper that came on the 6920, so I've essentially made this the gun. Okay, this is the gun. Unless we're doing a video again on the 6920, but pretty cool. And again, if you're new to shooting, this is the 5.56 round. You might think it's a giant round, but it's not, right? There's a lot of misconceptions. Imagine that in the shooting world, firearms world. A lot of people, I think for a long time, have thought that the M16, the military uses, like the most unbelievable firearm out there in terms of power and big bullet, powerful bullet. It is very fast, but it's a small bullet. It's a 22. It's a 22. We did some video years ago. I don't know what we were doing, just demonstrating that, what the video was called, what it was, but I put up like a pie sheet or something, aluminum pie pan or something, and shot it with a 22 long rifle and shot it with one of these, and the hole's exactly the same. I wonder why, because they're both 22 caliber maybe, and the holes looked exactly the same. What was the difference? Velocity. Velocity. Now if you shoot a 2-liter, or what else would be a good example, with a 22 long rifle and then with one of these, it's going to be quite a different result, right? You're going to kind of blow it up with one of these, you get a good hit on it, whereas a 22 just puts holes in it. And if you've noticed, they still react sometimes pretty violently in terms of spraying and flying around, but they don't get blown up, with a 22 long rifle like they do with this. So, am I keeping you too long? Yeah, I probably am. Anything else I was going to talk? Oh yeah, I wanted to warn you the way things are going in this crazy world. If you see me coming your way, I'm probably going to be breathing. Okay, I am probably not going to restrict my ability to breathe anywhere. So, well, there may be exceptions, but I'm probably not going to be restricting my ability to breathe. I have a thing about that. I just like to breathe, and certainly now, with what we've all been through. And so, if you're afraid of me, just move out of the way, okay? And go on. Just run the other direction, all right? So, warning on that. And regarding that, I'm planning to be, I have reservations to be in Houston at the NRA meeting. But if breathing restrictions come about in the city of Houston, in conference area and all that kind of thing, I won't be there, okay? So just all plans are subject to change for me, all right? I plan to breathe for the rest of my life. So just be aware of that. And be sure you're talking to your representatives. Speaking of bureaucracies, you can never relax. You can never relax. There's always something being be proposed or coming down the line, and our resistance has helped hold off most of that. But that's the only reason. That's the only reason. You know, if we all just ignored it, man, we'd be in bad shape in terms of Second Amendment. So keep that in mind. You know, something came to me too, a little off topic. Well, what is the topic? I don't know. Oh, this business about, and I bring this up because it occurred to me, having been in the classroom, this is something that I am an expert on. Hey, I finally thought of something that I know something about. More so than guns. I mean, I speak with confidence on this topic. Extreme confidence. Not arrogance, just extreme confidence from experience. All this business about what's being taught in schools, and you know, the various things that we don't want to see taught. You know, we'd rather not have oppression taught in different things. But you do realize it is. I've not heard this talked about. It doesn't matter whether something's in the curriculum. I'm speaking to parents, I guess, and students too. Be on the lookout, you know. But it does not have to be in the curriculum in order for a person to have pretty strong influence over students. Okay? And I was vitally aware of that, especially teaching literature, you know, in English, because we were talking about all sorts of things all the time. You can imagine, you know, your English classes, you're reading a play or a novel, everything comes up. You're talking about discussing the characters and plot line and the conflicts and what causes it. And, a student or a teacher can work anything into that conversation and shade that conversation in any direction that you want to, color that conversation, you know, opinions and different, so simply, in fact, so subtly that it's more effective than something out of a curriculum. Yeah, it is. I was vitally aware of that, and in my case, I just felt like it wasn't my place to affect their politics. My main goal was, because we did talk about everything. They were like 12, 13 years old, is part of it too. Their politics, their religion, and all of that was their parents' job. That was my feeling. You know, my goal was for them not to even know who I might have voted for at the end of the year. If I gave them a quiz, who do you think I voted for? Now, they might have guessed because they knew I like guns. But other than that, they would have no idea. Okay, that was my goal. All right? Stay out of that. You know, politics, religion, that is their parents' business, not mine. And, but I did feel that I was compelled and felt it an obligation, kind of a mission to get them thinking critically, you know, just thinking about things, you know, critically, you know, like I talked about with you all. People have an agenda, you know, and I would say, look, you know, I have an agenda. I want you all do this or whatever it is. Everybody has an agenda, and you want to see through that. You want to be aware of it at least, and you want to think about things. And, you know, that's what you're doing, of course, in analyzing a piece of literature. You're analyzing, you're thinking critically about the characters and the plot, the conflicts, what's going on, why does this character do this, what's his motivation, her motivation, all that sort of thing. And so it's a class in critical thinking, basically, okay? But I was now not to pat myself on the back, but I was just very conscious of not trying to influence them really in any way regarding politics or religion. That's not my business. That was their parents' business, okay? But again, my main point is it would be so easy, okay, so easy and so effective to do it so subtly that they're not even going to go home and say, Mommy, Miss So-and-so was talking about this, you know, and it would raise a red flag with parents. So just be aware of that, you know, be aware of that, okay? Again, that's one area where I'm an expert. I've taught for 29 years. I yacked for 29 years at kids and had discussions every day with kids, class discussions, discussing. I know how that goes, and I know what you can do because I did it in creative or in constructive ways. And trying to instill that sense of integrity, quite honestly, because you always have characters, you have good guys, bad guys, someone who is a little bit of gray area, is not doing the right thing, this one is doing the right thing. So you use that, just like watching an episode of Gunsmoke or something, just those basic lessons of doing the right thing. Now, in that sense, I did want to influence them, but yeah, just be aware of that, because in a classroom, there's a lot of ways to influence young people that are not overt. Okay, they're not overt, so just be aware of that. You students, be aware of that, and know when that influence is being exerted, especially politically, religiously, or whatever it might be. Some social concept you think is stupid, you can develop a nose for that. You can sort of develop a nose for that, and once you get a little age on you. And that's the problem with a 10-year-old or a 13-year-old, 15-year-old. They don't have a lot of age on them, not a lot of wisdom, can be very gullible, and even in college. So just thought I'd address that, because I know a little bit about that. So what else was I going to talk about? Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to let you go, I guess. One thing I was going to mention about that anaconda video, the big game hunt, and all my terrible shooting in that video, I was going to make some more excuses for it. It really was kind of bad. I looked at part of that video, and I'm going to need to somehow make up for that. Get out another 44 Magnum and do a big game hunt, I guess, and see if I can do better. There was something about the gun, the sights. It's not the gun, it's not the accuracy of the firearm. And I don't know, part of it is maybe me having just a bad day, but it's a lot of it is just the sight picture. Having a really, really clear sight picture and knowing where to hold, when the trigger breaks, I know, duh, no kidding. But I don't know, and then too, the thing that makes it difficult sometimes, if I start missing, like I noticed in the video, I think I was shooting high. Maybe I was shooting low at first and missing, but then I was popping them high, and take 2 or 3 shots, it'd go high. And of course, with a revolver, that you got to reload after every 6 shots. It really slows down the video. But on those high shots, I noticed I was putting them like in the same hole almost. You got to remember too, the way we operate, that John doesn't. Now he will. If I turn around and look at him, if I'm missing a whole lot, he'll tell me where I'm going sometimes. But high or low, kind of thing, left, right. But sometimes I think I see where it's hitting, but I'm wrong, because I'm just using my naked eye, and I'm not zoomed in like you all are. So I know, again, I've said that before, it looks really crazy. Like, it's very clear in the video exactly where the bullet hit, and the next one hit in the same place. It's like, what's wrong with you, Hickok? Are you drinking or something? But with the blast of the gun and maybe even some smoke and some recoil, and you just don't see where it hits. So I might think I'm going low, or I knew I was just almost on it, and so I didn't really move the sights much, and I needed to move them down a little more. So again, I'm not trying to really make excuses. I'm trying to educate you. If you're a new shooter, you're going to miss, for one thing, and then you may have a firearm that's it's hard to get online, and you shoot well with it, maybe, I don't know, on some shots, and then you get to missing, and that kind of stuff does happen. It just happens. It's frustrating to me, because with most handguns, if I know where they're going to hit, regardless of caliber, and you've seen that, I've shot the Red Hawk, and I think I hardly missed with it out there. And it's not that it's more accurate than the Colt or my Model 29. I think I did a big game hunt with probably the 8 3/8 inch 29, maybe also the 6.5. I don't know, but one of them or both, and I didn't have that trouble. It's not that the Smith is more accurate or the Ruger. It's just the sights and trigger maybe, and that day. Maybe it's how the stars are aligned or anything, But it's also not that I'm losing it either. I'll know if that ever starts happening and I start getting shaky and I can't hold the sights straight or something, or still. But Anyway, and of course the gun is back, so I can't even get it out and shoot it some more and figure it out better. That's another thing. Sometimes maybe I don't shoot them enough, and whereas with a gun I have a little bit longer and I've shot it more at long range, and I kind of go through that. For example, if I had that gun back today and I could take a couple shots and do a big game hunt, I could probably do a lot better, because I know from seeing that video what I was doing, that I was going high when I thought I was right on, several times, and so just through experience you learn. That's why it's so important with your hunting rifle, something you shoot or something you carry. You really want to work with it. And I'm just messing around, doing gun reviews and on a lot of these guns, and doing something different with them. It's kind of fun, that sort of thing. But if it's something you're going to go out and hunt game with, real game, or a carry gun like the gun in my pocket, which reminds me, I need to shoot it. You want to know it's going to work. I almost forgot. I'm glad I talked about that. What I did, believe it or not, and it's hot. It's my P365, and I've got the P365 XL as well. And I saw one of y'all left a comment about if I'm going to do the X, the 365X and everything. And I got what is the X again? So, oh yeah, it's kind of the XL with the regular slide on it, that kind of thing. And then it hit me. It's, well, I could make one of those. So I've got the XL, and I got two of the 365s. I said, why don't I make one of those? Because that might be cool, because I've been carrying the XL some, and I like the grip. Now, you can get a long magazine. You essentially create your own XL, I know, but this just feels a little better, I think, is the actual real grip. And it's still small enough. That's key. Still small enough for a pocket gun. I had it in my pocket today. So anyway, I put some Federal 124 grain ball in, and intended to shoot it today, and I almost missed. Almost forgot. So, I really have to confess, I made that switch and I carried it yesterday with hollow points. It was my carry gun. And I was thinking, I haven't shot that. That's not like me, except I've never had problems with these guns, and I didn't expect to have problems with this one, but I shouldn't have done that. I really should not have. So do as I say, not as I do, right? I sound like a politician, or I don't sound like one, but that's like what a politician would do, right? So I've got the XL grip, and I've got the standard slide. So it should be no problem, right? But famous last words. That was fine. Yeah. Okay. I guess I'd have survived yesterday if I'd have been in an engagement, maybe. Yeah, I kind of like it, but I also want to get the feel of it. So that's cool, and that's all I had of ammo. I just loaded the mag before I came over here with regular hardball. Took the HST out, and so that, yeah, almost forgot. Yep, that's what I've got there, and that's what I'm carrying here lately. If I'm not carrying something else, anything I carry in a pocket is a pull and shoot. I just put it in my pocket holster, fits in the same one, and it's just pull and shoot, okay? So, as I advise, it's not good to be changing your carry gun around a lot. If you do, changing the manual of arms is really problematic, or can be. You carry a 1911 one day, a revolver the next day, a gun like this the next day, and maybe you got two guns like this. One of them has a safety and one doesn't. You just want to get all that, really keep it simple. Keep it simple, and you might survive better. Okay, and you probably also less likely to have an accident, a negligent discharge or something. Just messing with them. All right, so I should let you go, and as usual, talk about all kinds of stupid stuff. One last advice for young people. Again, try to get involved with real stuff in your life. And it's so easy to be, it's so simple if you don't really have a life. You know, all you do is hang out and comment on social media. You don't do anything in the real world much. It's real easy, I would think, to fall into this woke world, you know, just so you'll have a purpose in life. You know, it's not a lot of purpose, especially when so much of it's fictional. Try to do something in your life. Get outside and do something. Get into camping, bike riding, I don't know, what else? You know, I mean, swimming. Just get out and do stuff. Meet people who are doing the same thing, and you know, develop a real life. I know it's not easy. It's easy if you. It's not easy if you're not very sociable. Maybe you're young. Maybe you're not young. You're just not all that sociable. If you get involved in something, just think about something you like to do. Maybe it is bicycles. Yeah, skateboarding or surfing, hiking, camping. You know, name it. You're going to meet people with a similar interest. Hey, really? And that just makes it easier to be sociable. If you're basically an introvert or you're shy kind of a thing, think about experiences you've had. Maybe it's on a sports team at school. The only time you feel comfortable is when you're with your volleyball teammates or something, or guys that play baseball on the team, you know, in middle school or something. And it's because y'all have a common interest and, you know, everything. You don't necessarily like everybody on the team, but you have some friends there and you have a common interest and you like that. You know, so, I mean, you don't have to be on an organized team. There's all kinds of activities going on. Hey, I got an idea. How about shooting? If you're old enough to do that. You go to ranges and gun shows and gun shops and different things. You might have to go with your parents if you're still young, or an uncle or somebody or an aunt, but you'll meet people, guess what? Like-minded, you know, similar interests, I bet, and might make some really good friends, you know. So you get involved in real stuff. I mean, that's, you know, basically, you know, the main thing, and just avoid friends of people who are, I don't know, just shallow. They're not very good listeners. You know, people like that, they don't really listen to what you say. They're just thinking of what they're going to say next. And, you know, people that actually can be a friend, that, you know, actually listen to what you had to say. And, of course, you have to earn that by listening to what they have to say, right? And, you know, develop friendships with real people as much as possible, not just friends online that are not real friends. And try not to get yourself radicalized online in any direction on any topic, because that's really simple to do. It's really easy. So anyway, that's the only advice I have for you weird little young people, right? Because you are weird. Hey, guess what? I got bad news for you. You're going to grow up and be weird old people like me. Yeah. Once weird, always weird. And in today's world, that might be the best way to be. I think you want to be a little weird. You know, I used to have a bumper sticker. It said, "Why be normal?" And I thought it was kind of a joke and funny. But, you know, it's kind of true now, isn't it? You know, why be normal? I'm sure that's the place to be. So I'll let you go. I haven't shot enough. I know. I'm sorry. I apologize. And I'll see you next week, I hope. We never know, you know, where we're going to be, do we? We just know we're going to be somewhere. Everybody's got to be somewhere, and hopefully it's on this side of the grass, right? Not talking weed here, not talking, you know, drug. We hope to be on the top side of the grass for as long as we can. And I appreciate y'all coming by and supporting the people that support us. And like I say, if you haven't seen it yet, look for that. You know, at the time I'm recording now, not 100% sure when post that, but anyway, the interview with silencercentral.com. Good people, Brandon Maddox, the owner, and again, you know, that's just, we feel like there's some benefit to that, and we don't hide anything. You know, there are people who secretly and stealthily, you know, work in people who are probably, you know, paying them to do something with a specific gun or something that they're actually reviewing and pretending to be objective about and all that kind of thing. That's why we can't review silencers, for example. We can't put out like one of theirs next to somebody else's, and how goofy would that be? You know, like, duh, we'd have a lot of credibility, right? You know, so we're very transparent. You may not like what we do. Sometimes you may think I'm brainless sometimes, but we just are what we are, and we're very transparent. You don't know everything about us, but you know everything that matters. Put it that way. Oh, that reminds me. One last point. I should have led off with this. We get imposters, out there on the internet. People setting up fake accounts, different things. And I've heard some really small YouTubers in some other areas talking about this and warning their subscribers. And so it must just happen to everybody, at times. And you can imagine it happens to us. And whether it's Hickok 45 or our real name or whatever it is, and it just is some crazy, occasionally. And people know it though, they see it, so they just are idiots and report it, or they report the idiots. But I've said that before. If you ever see anything that you can always check for, generally the number of subscribers or followers tells you if it's us or not, right? Because you can take somebody's photographs, their thumbnail, and everything else, or avatar, and there's, again, too many people without a life of their own, right? Have to try to fake someone else's life. So, and you also know, as I've said, and me, I would never post anything anywhere on the internet that doesn't sound like me, like what I'm saying right here. That would just never happen. And so it's pretty clear whether it's me or not. And I have better things to do than to go around the internet and trashing anybody. I'm just not going to do that. So I have my own life. I'm sorry that some people don't have a life, and that's how they get attention. It may be how they get subscribers and views and patron members and everything else, from drama and trashing people. More power to them. It's sad, but you'll never see me doing that. And just know it's not me. It's not me. So I appreciate you all watching, and we really do appreciate you supporting the people that support us. It keeps us going, and who knows what we'll be doing next. Life is good.